What's up, you guys? My name is Mateo Hall, and I have to tell you guys the dirty truth about real estate agents. The truth is, they're completely useless. They're going to be charging you from 3 to 6% just to list your house and do some marketing on it, and then they'll get a couple $1,000s in their pocket for doing absolutely nothing. I mean, according to the National Association of Realtors, the average realtor only spends about $250 per property that they're marketing. You see, if you're selling your home and you want to do it yourself, then you could save essentially another 5 to 6% on it just by not using a real estate agent at all. I mean, it's just a contract, and it's not like any of this would ever end in a lawsuit or anything like that, right? Well, that's what one of the people I was working with was saying. I was talking to this guy, let's call him John. John has this home in Tahoe, this beautiful property for around $1 million. So I call him up, I say, "Hey John, I see you're trying to sell your house. Would you like some help?" And he says, "Well, yes. Yes, of course I'd like some help." There's a little something off about John. You see, when I first started talking to him for a little bit, he kept saying how realtors were bad. He also said how he didn't want any old traditional realtors. So that should have been my first red flag. Now, I'm talking to John, I do my due diligence on him, find out a couple of details, and it turns out, yeah, he owns this property as well as a couple others throughout the entire United States. So I'm thinking if I get this listing, then it's going to be absolutely great. It'll help build out my portfolio and actually be a great residential sale. The real problems started showing up when I talked to John the next day. See, John did a complete 180 when I started talking to him the next day and started sending over some disclosures. He started doing a little rewind. He said, "Hold up just a second. I'm not signing anything. Who are you?" Now, I'm a little thrown off by this at first. I say, "Excuse me, John, we talked yesterday." He's all, "Yes, who do you think you are trying to sell my home?" You see, all you bootlicking realtors are just taking some off the top of all of us actual homeowners. And he started sending me all of these different paragraphs and paragraphs of other real estate agents that were trying to get him to sell his home. It turns out that he's had this on the market for about 3 years, and he's had these discount brokerages reach out to him for $150. They'll throw it on the MLS. These 4% brokerages that are just going to charge a little fee and do a ton of stuff. And he starts asking me, "What are you going to be doing that's going to be different than all of these other people?" So I outlined my plan. I'm still working this. I think, you know what, I'll work this a little bit longer. We'll see what ends up happening. I say, "John, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be putting your property on the MLS. These are the open houses. This month I'm going to be spending on X, Y, and Z." And he says, "Great, let's do it." I'm all, what? So within the span of 48 hours, John has went from "realtors suck" to "yeah, you could list my home" to "who do you think you are" to "let's get this signed." And I haven't even seen the house yet, so I go out later that day to go check out the house, and it's a nice little property. When I say nice little property, I mean that it's probably on the market for a few $100,000 less than it should be. So I shoot John a message. I'm all, "Hey John, here are the comps that I pulled on your property. This is what I think it's worth. This is what I think we can get for it." And I tried calling him up, and there's no answer. So he shoots back another text. So, "Meeting with my parole officer. Can't talk right now." Another red flag. I think, no worries. Okay, so I get everything written down and signed, and I send it over his way. And I don't hear back from him for the rest of the day. So I call him up the next day. I'm like, "Yo, John, I sent the papers over your way. What happened there?" And he's just like, "I don't want to work with a real estate agent." Now, at this point, I'm really confused because he's went back and forth and back and forth and back again. So now he's back to not working with me. I'm thinking at this point, maybe this guy has dementia. Maybe he doesn't remember things. But then he outlines our old conversation, and he says some very, let's just say, not safe for YouTube words. And he pretty much starts telling me how real estate is this huge scam and how you're just trying to take my money and take off the top of real homeowners. And I'm thinking to myself, "Sir, I'm going to be getting you over $100,000 more than what you're currently listed for, even after a buyer and seller's fee." So this back and forth happens for a couple of days. You know, some days I'm not able to respond, some days he doesn't respond, some days he's meeting with his parole officer. Who really knows what's happening all this time, right? And eventually I'm just done. I say, "John, I cannot be doing this anymore. I no longer want to list your home." I'm thinking that if I go into contract with this guy, it's not going to be worth the $30,000 of all of the stress and the degradation that he's doing towards me and all of the people that I'm in business with. And honestly, that was a decision that I had to struggle with for a little bit before I could really settle on something. You see, for some people, $30,000 is an entire salary. Some people, it's a life-changing amount of money. For some people, it's a drop in the bucket. For me, it would be a lot of money. It would cover my entire rent for the year and then some. So why didn't I take this? Well, there's two folds to that. The first reason being I don't want to be working with someone that's going to be treating me terribly the entire way through the transaction. It's not a pleasant experience to have. It will be bad for my mental health, and honestly, there are bigger and better deals out there. And the second reason is that it's going to be much more trouble than it's worth. You know, in order to actually get him to sign all of these contracts, I would have had to be pushing things a lot harder, and I don't want to pressure someone into a deal that they don't want to do. Even if I think that I can be making someone over $100,000 on their property than what they're currently listed for, if they don't want to do it, then I don't want to be doing it either. There's a certain point in everyone's financial journey that you start to realize that the money isn't necessarily the most important thing that's going through every single day to day. Yes, it's going to be helping you with X, Y, or Z, but at what point is the money not worth the struggle and the effort to actually do it? You see, after I let this deal go for about $1 million, I just signed on probably one of the biggest deals that will ever happen in my career for $4.2 million. Now, I don't want to say too much about that yet, but you can guarantee that I'll be making a video on that once we close the deal. So when I'm turning up $30,000 over with John, that means that I could be putting much more mental energy, much more physical energy and attention towards a $4.2 million deal that's going to be, honestly, bringing in a lot more money, and the people there are much easier to work with. Now, while we're on the topic of extremes, I want to throw something in this video that the idea that money corrupts people. I don't think that money necessarily corrupts anyone or makes them evil. I think that what money works as is an amplifier. If you're already a terrible person, then that money is just gonna make you an even worse person and make it even more obvious. While on the other end of things, if you're an amazing person, you love giving money away, you love charity and everything, money is going to give you that opportunity to be doing that tenfolds higher. So when John was telling me that I'm just taking some money off the top and that I need to get an actual job, I'm telling him that I want to be making people money so that I could be this second person over here and help more people out, so that I could be helping you guys out. You see, I mean no disrespect to John with this video. In fact, I think that he genuinely is a great guy, because there are bad real estate agents in the industry. There's going to be bad people in any industry. The thing you have to do is separate the bad from the good. There are people out there that actually want to be able to help you and make you more money, because the truth is, when you make more money, I'll make more money. And repeated business in real estate is the way that you're gonna be making money. So if someone's not happy with a transaction, then everyone loses. Now, John has continued to send me messages over the past week since I've told him to no longer message this number and that I won't be responding, and I haven't, but I've been reading all of those messages, being really curious as to what kind of person takes the time out of their day to be doing things like that. Because I think that he's just had a terrible experience with real estate agents, and he's trying to make the world a better place in his own eyes. So to any of the Johns out there in the world, I'll ask you to either A, hear people out. You know, some of them are bad, some of them are good, some of them are in between, but at least hear them out, and if you won't, then don't pick up your phone. Until next time, guys, remember to check the links down in the description. You all know all that jazz until we continue our financial journeys.